Hello and welcome to the lesson. The subject is auditing and assurance. Today we are going to analyze the types of controls in computerized systems. Types of controls in computerized systems. And candidates, in analyzing the types of controls in computerized systems, we are going to have the controls in categories. All right? We'll analyze the administrative controls, number one. Number two is the system development controls. Number three, the processing controls. Number four, application controls. Number five, the master file and standing data controls. You understand? So controls in computerized systems are essential for ensuring the accuracy, the reliability, the security of data, and also the integrity of data and processes. And they can be categorized into several types, each addressing different aspects of the system. So the first type is administrative controls. Administrative controls. Administrative controls. Now, administrative controls focus on establishing the framework for the security and controls. You understand? The administrative, they provide the framework, the guideline for security and controls. And examples of administrative controls include security policies, security policies. Now, security policies define the acceptable use of IT resources, data classification, what we call incident response procedures, and so on. So first of all, we must have the security policies. Policies are guidelines. And when we talk of policies under the administrative controls, we are referring to the guidelines on the use of the IT resources, like the hardware, the computers, having access to databases, to the server, and also data classification, how data is classified, and the incident response procedures. Security policies. Two, risk assessment and management. Okay? Risk assessment and risk management. Risk assessment and risk management. This involves identifying and assessing IT risks and suggesting security measures. Assessing and management. Identify, assess, and then put in place security measures. There has to be, under administrative controls, what we call as a risk assessment and management of the risks. Segregation of duties. That is a control. Candidates, you are analyzing administrative controls. One way to exercise control in a computerized system is to have segregation of duties. You understand? Segregation of duties. Segregation of duties prevents fraud and errors by dividing critical tasks among different employees or individuals, so that there should not be one person handling different tasks. There ought to be different people handling different tasks. 4, access controls. Access controls. This is to say, restricting access to sensitive data. Sensitive data should not be accessed by everyone. It has to be restricted to certain individuals who have access to the sensitive data and systems. There should only be authorized personnel having access to sensitive data and sensitive systems. Another control is change management in relation to management of change. Management of change. There ought to be formalized procedures, formal procedures for planning, for testing, and authorizing changes to data or systems. The databases, for example, making changes to data. We know candidates, we operate in an environment that is constantly changing, and the databases and the systems and the data that is stored in an organization servers or databases is subject to change. So when change happens, before making any adjustments to the data or databases or the system, then there has to be procedure that is formal that can now help the company in planning for the change, testing the change, and authorizing changes to the systems. Then we have the incident response plan. Incident response plan is an administrative control. This plan outlines steps to be taken in case of security breaches or system failures. There has to be a plan, a response plan to any security breaches or security failures. You understand? We are analyzing administrative controls. Then related to incidents response plan, we may have disaster recovery plans, business continuity, and disaster recovery plan. Computerized systems must have business continuity and disaster recovery plans. The company should ensure critical business operations can continue during disruptions. There has to be disaster recovery plan. Disruptions could be system failure, hacking, and all that. Lastly, personnel security is an administrative control, conducting background checks and providing security awareness training. Okay? The employees should be trained on how to handle the computer system. There ought to be continuous training, all right, that is provided to the personnel. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 administrative controls. We are moving on to system development controls. B, systems development controls. Systems development controls. Now, the system development controls aim to minimize errors and vulnerabilities during the creation and implementation of the systems. And examples include the project management controls, which ensure structured development through planning, through monitoring, through evaluation and documentation. Project development controls. system, we have system development or design, system design controls. System design controls is another example of system development controls. System design controls include requirements analysis, include design reviews, and also prototyping to refine the system before development. Programming controls is yet another type of a system development control. Programming controls enforce coding standards and also conduct code reviews to identify errors and security risks. Programming controls. Next, we have testing controls. Testing controls. Testing controls. This involves performing unit or performing or even integration. Okay. Testing controls. Remember, candidates, you are discussing system development controls. Before the system is an a computer system is instituted, it has to be tested. So there are procedures or controls that we are calling testing controls, which the organization should institute, like user acceptance testing to ensure functionality and performance of the system. So the system has to be tested during the system development stage. Then we have change management controls still under system development controls. Change management controls. This involves establishing a formal process for requesting, for evaluating, for approving, and implementing changes. We also have security controls under system development controls. Security controls. This involves implementing security coding practices and also conducting security testing to identify vulnerabilities. So that is the second category or type of controls. The third type of control is processing. There are also controls that are required at the processing stage. These controls at the processing stage ensure the accuracy, the completeness, and authorization of data during processing. And one type is data validation. Data validation. Data validation is a control at the processing stage. Data validation. We may also have controls like the edit checks that are necessary during processing. Data validation and edit checks is a control. This means verifying the accuracy and consistency of data that is entered into the computer system. 2. Process logic controls. Processing logic controls ensures the correct order of transactions, ensures arithmetic accuracy, and data matching. 3. Control totals. Involve calculating totals for group of transactions to detect errors or unauthorized transactions or changes. We may also have run-to-run totals. Run-to-run totals carry This is the carry forward totals from one cycle to the next to ensure continuity. We must also mention audit trails at this stage of processing. Audit trails. These controls record trails of transactions and changes for investigation and auditing. Exception reports is another type of control. Exception reports. These reports identify and report errors or unusual transactions. So these are the processing controls. Then we can also cite application controls. Application controls. Let us analyze application controls. Application controls are embedded within the specific applications. And the purpose is to ensure the accuracy and validity of the data that is processed by those applications. So we have controls that are embedded within a computer application, like the input controls. For example, the input controls that verify the correctness of data entered into fields, for example, field checks, limit checks, validity checks, and so on. The application controls may also have processing controls. Application controls have processing controls, which ensure the accuracy of calculations and data and data matching within the application. Output controls. We must also mention the output controls, which reconcile and review application generated reports. We may also have log transactions and control distribution of sensitive outputs. Those are output controls. Then the last category, candidates, is the master files and standing data controls. Master files and standing data controls is yet another category. Master files and standing data controls. Master files and standing data controls ensure the accuracy and the integrity of, and also security of, essential data that drives processes and calculations. And the first example is access controls. Access controls is an example of a master files and standing data controls which restrict access to authorized personnel and also segregate duties. The second example is change controls. Change controls. These are controls that implement the formal process for requesting, approving, and also implementing changes. Another type is what we call validation and accuracy checks. Validation and accuracy checks. Validation and accuracy checks ensure data conforms to the predefined formats and ranges. They also help in conducting periodic reviews. These are validation checks and accuracy checks. Under master files, we have the backups and recovery. Backups and recovery. Backups and recovery are also types of controls that create regular backups. They create regular backups and also store them securely offsite. They can be stored on a different server or a different location. Then lastly, we have audit trails. Audit trails. Audit trails. The purpose for audit trails is maintaining detailed logs. And these are detailed logs of changes that are made to the data. It could also be the trail of transactions that may also be required to be stored off-site. So candidates, these are the types of controls in computerized systems. We started by analyzing the administrative controls. 1, security policies. 2, risk assessment and management. 3, segregation of duties, access controls, change management, incident response plan, business continuity, and disaster recovery plans. Then you have personnel security. This is training of the personnel that are to be involved in the computerized system. That's the first category. Then B here, we have system development controls. We've identified the system development controls, project management controls, system design controls, programming controls, testing controls. The third category is we also have change management controls and security controls. Is processing controls, which involve data validation and ready checks, processing. This is processing logic controls, not process, but processing logic controls. We have the control totals, the run-to-run totals, the audit trails, and the exception reports. Exception reports. The fourth one is the application controls. Application controls. The application controls, we said these are embedded within specific applications. They are inbuilt in specific applications. And the purpose is to ensure the accuracy and validity of data processed by those applications. So we identified the input controls, the processing controls, the output controls. Then lastly, we have the master files and standing data controls. Master files and standing data controls. These are basically the stored data, controls over stored data. And these controls ensure the accuracy, integrity, and security of essential data that drives processes and calculations. The first one is access controls. There has to be restricted access that is only restricted to authorized personnel and segregate duties. All right? And to segregate duties. So we have access controls, change controls, validation and accuracy checks, backup and recovery, and audit trails. And audit trails. And audit trails. And audit trails. So that is, those are the types of controls in a computerized environment. And therefore, candidates, it's important for you to understand and appreciate the types of controls in a computerized environment. Okay? Because it's very essential. You recall we've been studying how the computerized environment is revolutionizing the auditing landscape. Assignment 1. Define and provide examples of each of the following types of controls in computerized systems: administrative, system development, processing controls, application controls, and controls over master files and standing data. Controls over master files and standing data. Number 2, explain the role and importance of each type of control in ensuring the reliability and integrity of data in computerized systems. Number 3, how do the different types of controls interact with each other to create a comprehensive control environment in computerized systems. Number 4, what are the key considerations for auditors when evaluating the effectiveness of each of control in a computerized system? 5, how can the understanding of different types of controls in computerized systems help auditors assess and mitigate the risk associated with such systems? In our next lesson, we are going to study the auditor's use of computers in course of audit. Bye.